Hello, Dave here with emergencyprepguy.com. I appreciate you stopping by. Today's video, I've got the little baby quail that are in the brooder box, and I've got to build an outside quail hutch. I sold all my inside quail cages, and I'm going to be building a quail hutch. And so I thought I would film a video so that you guys can see how I do that. Now, I'm modeling this. It's going to be very similar to, if you've on YouTube, if you've looked at Slightly Rednecked, his quail hutch. It's probably going to be a little bit different, but it's going to be pretty close. It's going to be modeled after that. So let's get going and let's build a quail hutch. Okay, so I've just got, these are 1x4 furring strips, and I just want to show you, I cut the ends to exactly 36 inches so they'd fit the hardware cloth. And I pre-drilled the holes on the ends so that it didn't strip out. So I just got to build one more. Okay, one quick thing I got to say about these time-lapse videos where I speed up my work. I have a buddy of mine who always watches my videos, and he always comments and says, "Man, you sure work fast. I wished I could work that fast." He thinks he's really funny. But anyway, shout out to you, Marv. Hope you're watching this video. One thing I want to say about these, working with this 1x material, I purchased screws that I thought I would be fine if I pre-drilled the holes. I think in the future I'm going to see if I can maybe find the same length but thinner diameter screws. Because I did have one screw that, even though I pre-drilled the hole, it split out the board. I was able to get another screw in, and so I think it'll be fine the way these attach to the hutch. There's a lot of extra support strength once they're attached, but you just want to be really careful, get the right kind of screws and pre-drill them, and just be really careful that they don't split out on you. Okay, for these I'm measuring and cutting off the two front legs at 6 foot, and then the two back legs I'm doing them 69 inches, which is 3 inches shorter. You'll notice when I start cutting them that I use my skill saw, circular saw. Normally for cuts, whenever possible, I use my miter saw. But these are just going to be the top of the hutch. It really isn't going to matter so much if they're perfect, as long as they're the right length. But anyway, then what you'll see me do is I start measuring up and marking 3 foot from the base of each. That's where the 1x4 base of the hutch will set, is right at 3 feet. And then I'm measuring up from there 18 more inches. That's where the base of the roof 1x4 square will sit. And so that's what you see me measuring now. So, and then I also measured and cut the other short supports that I needed for the rafters, which you'll see me put on later. Here I'm just attaching the 1x4 squares to the legs at the 3 foot mark that I measured on the boards. And I just get both of those done and ready to put the other sides on. Okay, so as you can see, I've got the 1x4 square base attached, and I've got it screwed in. I put like 4 screws. The screws I'm using are 1 5/8. That's pretty much what I've been using on everything. And so I've got the base in. The top isn't screwed in. I've just got these clamps holding everything up. So now what I'm going to do is go around and screw those in. Okay, I've gotten quite a bit more done since I last filmed. Okay, this is where I'm at the moment. I'll bring it in close here so you can see. Everything so far you'll see is pretty much exactly like Chris at Slightly Rednecked. I have to paint this plywood Probably should have painted it before I glued it in there, but I didn't. I mean, screwed it in there. So I've got the inside furring strips in here for the door when I build the door, to have something to go back against. I haven't done it on that side yet. Show you over here how I did it. Chris said it was 1x2s. It may have been that he used here, but these are 1x2s and they look different to me than his. I'm wondering if maybe his were 1x3s, but they may have been 1x2s. Anyway, so I've just got those in there. Now I'm gonna go get the camera and I'm gonna bring it around here and I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do on this end. Okay, hopefully you can see me all right. Now I've got the design exactly figured out, but I'd say 98% what I'm gonna do. What I haven't figured out yet is exactly how I'm gonna support the base of it, because we're gonna run hardware cloth. I'm gonna run hardware cloth all the way around like Chris did. But what I'm gonna build is I'm gonna have a 1 foot by 1 foot box that goes from the floor about an inch or two through the hardware cloth. So I'll cut a hole in the hardware cloth and I'll paint the outside of it, and then on each side I'm gonna drill 1 inch holes, or 1 1/4 inch holes. I think that should be big enough for the quail to get in and eat. This is gonna be their feeder. I want to be able to fill up 6-7 gallons at a time of feed and not have to feed them all the time. Now inside those holes, and I'm gonna just have to experiment this, so I'm probably not gonna film it, but I'll show you but I'll show you when I'm done with it, is when the quail sticks their head in the hole, there'll be a board over top of that hole that kind of slants down but doesn't go all the way to the floor. It'll be high enough that when I dump food in the top, the food will come around to where the quail can eat it. It should be where I can fill it up really full, and the quail, as they eat it, it will, the food will gradually work its way down, but it should be where they can't waste any food because their head is stuck in there. So that's what I've been trying to figure out how I was going to do. For a while I was thinking of having a 5-gallon bucket feeder. I've thought of all kinds of designs in there, but that's what I think I'm going to go with. So we'll get working, and I'll come back to you when I get a little more done. Okay, day 3. I just want to show you where I'm at right now. Okay, so this is where we're at right now. I've got all of it painted in blue, a navy blue, except the inside I just painted with white because I thought the contrast looked better. I thought white looked better on the inside than the blue. But that'll make the white inside, I think it looks nice, plus it'll make it easier to see the quail when it's inside. Okay, hopefully you can see me all right. So this, I decided instead of the 1 foot by 1 foot to go with 30.5 inches because of how it fit in the side of the cage, and 6 inches. So it'll hold a lot more probably than it would have before. So I just cut plywood to that length, and then I put some 1x2 around the edges. I made 2 of those. Then what this will look like inside the cage there is it'll be about like that. Hopefully you can see that. This will be the bottom underneath, and I have 2 sides here like that, and so it'll fit together. Hopefully you can get a visualization there. That's how it'll fit together, and it'll take up 6 inches of the edge of the coop. The way this is going to sit inside here is it will sit like this, inside there, just about like that. And I'm leaving, so there's a gap there that I can run pipe through. I don't want a little cubby hole for the quail to be able to get in there and hide. So I'm probably going to put a board on the other side that I can drill a hole through when I do a pipe. But that allows me the access to do an automatic watering system. So that's what the feeder is going to look like on the side. Okay, I put the two halves of the feeder together, and screwed it all the way around so that then I could just take the one side as a piece of plywood off. And this is what I ended up with. So if you can see, hope the lighting's not the greatest, I apologize, and I'm a little shaky with my camera. But you can see, now I have one problem. You can see daylight down in that corner, and you probably can't see it in the camera, but there's a slight bit of daylight in that corner too. So I've got silicone. I'm going to be filling that full so that it doesn't leak. Okay, we got an air show going on, so hopefully we'll probably hear some planes going on, but I want to show you the little shelf that I made for the bottom of the feeder so that it keeps enough food out of the way so the quail can get their head in. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I just cut a little 1x4 at a 45-degree angle. I didn't do the greatest job. I just used a circular saw instead of I should have used my chop saw. But anyway, I didn't have a wide enough piece of lumber here, so I just put two boards together and secured them for here. The the food's gonna come down this way. There may be a little bit caught up here, but it won't matter. So anyway, and then in here is where I'll drill the holes from the other side for the quail to stick their head through. So I'll show you more of it when I get it situated. Okay. So if you can see there, I'll come around this side. So hopefully you can see that okay. Hopefully that's enough of a space that enough food will get around, but not too much food is the goal. You can see that I've got this door here done. I've got the latches put on and the barrel bolts. And then over here, I've got the other door almost done. All I've got to do is cut a piece of plywood to size to go over that, and I'm going to paint the plywood white. You can see I'm working on getting the hardware cloth on. I've only got it tacked down here at the end. I've got to stretch it and get it tight and tack it along the top. Then I've got to cut it around the feeder. If I open this door here, I'm gonna do the holes for the food last. I think I need to do a little bigger hole than that one. That was just kind of a test hole. Anyway, I'll do that last. I'm gonna have to flip it over to do the hardware cloth across the bottom, and then here I'm gonna have a piece of plywood. I may just do part of the way like Chris did, but I think what I'm probably gonna do is come all the way to the end here, put a 2x4 across there. I cut the door high enough that with a 2x4 across there, they can still get in. And then I'll have hardware cloth across the bottom, but then I'll have a piece of plywood there as well. So getting pretty close to being done. And then I've also got to build a top for here's what the feeder looks like all installed. I'll show you from this side too, if you can see through that hardware cloth. So there's a little gap on this side, a little gap on that side. I'm just going to build a lid to go over it to keep the moisture out. It will have the roof as well, but nothing worse than moisture getting into the feed. I don't think I'll have a problem with that though. I think the lid will do it. Okay, one other quick thing that I wanted to show you is I needed to come up with a way to nail this hardware cloth to the roof. If you remember in Chris's video, he just rolled it all the way around. He didn't have this feeder here that I built, so it was all just open, and so he just rolled the hardware cloth all the way around along the bottom and fastened it down there. That's not going to work for me because I got this feeder in the way. And so what I did was this 1x2, it's painted, so it's a little bit hard to see. I just painted it. I cut a 1x2 so that it fit really snugly across that board there. And I don't know if you remember, but this board that I put in there to block the gap, I left it a little bit short so that I could put the 1x2 on top of it. And then over here, I just cut a little short 1x2 here, fastened it to this board here, and then I was able to drill into there and drill into the top to fasten this board into this piece and that other piece that I cut over here. So that way I'll be able to just cut the hardware cloth straight across at the right length and then just staple it into this 1x2 that I have there. There's no reason to have a hardware cloth in there or on the other side because the quail can't get in there. The feeder and then that one board I have here block all that side of will keep the quail in other words. Okay, just a quick update here so you can see how things have progressed. Okay, as you can see, I've got both doors on. That's what the other door is going to look like. I don't want to shut it because some of the paint's still wet. And I've got the floor in here. Chris did his, I think he said 33 inches. He put plywood and the 2x4 right here. I wanted to do the whole thing, and he put sand in his for a sandbox, which I think is awesome, but I'm gonna try something different. Over here, again, I've got the door on. I put a little, since I put the 2x4 right there, I put a little step. I don't think adult quail would have any problem at all getting over the 2x4, but younger ones might. And so I put that there. And the other thing I want to show you in here is, well, first I want to show you in the hole here. I don't know if you can see the feed in there. Looks like this feeder is going to work really good. I want to show you down. Hopefully you can see. I just dumped a couple of scoops of feed in there so that I could test it. And it looks like it blocks most of it, but enough goes around that they'll be able to eat. So anyway, I'm kind of excited about it. I really like Chris's design here overall. I tweaked a couple little things, but it's 98% his design. It's from Slightly Rednecked. The only thing I got left to do is up here I've got to put the 2x4s. I've got to put and I've got to paint them as well. I've got to put 2x4s here and here, and then I've got to do 2x4 rafters across and put the roof on. So that's all I really have left, and then I'm done. And then I've got to build another one. I'm going to build a second one of these for some chucker partridges that are in the incubator right now. So, okay, these quail are about 2.5 weeks old, and I just put them in here. They've been figuring out the feeder. They're not right at the moment, but I had about 6 of them in there eating. There's one there, I guess, now, kind of. I don't think anybody's figured out the water yet. Oh, yep, there's somebody that just got a drink of water. Perfect. Seems like once one of them figures it out, the rest of them follow. Yeah, there's a couple eating again. So they look a little too young to be out here to me, but they're 2.5 weeks old, and they have been they've been in the brooder box in the cage, but I turned the heat completely off, including the light at night, last night and the night before. And during the day also. So they've adjusted to that. Oh, they're good. They figured out there's another guy drinking. Good job, buddy. That's what I wanted to see. Okay, they found the mulch side of the box and they're totally loving it. But anyway, they're loving it. They're picking their way through it, and they pretty much on the other side figured out the food and the water too, so. Okay, after almost 2 full weeks, I'm finally done with this quail hutch. Just working on it as I had time. I really hope the next one I'm able to just get done in a few days now that I've done it. Some of this, Chris makes it look so easy on there, and when I got to the measurements, there's a few things that you want to be careful of. Like, for example, when I got done, these 2x4s on, let me spin this around so you can see. These 2x4s are 36 inches apart on each end. So I just assumed that they would be 36 inches apart in the middle, which was a dumb assumption. They're pretty close to that on mine on the bottom, but the top were a little bit wider. And so when I put the divider piece in there, I just measured the distance. And what I should have done is made sure that they were 36 inches apart and measured the distance towards that and bolted it together, because on my hardwire cloth, I was able to get it all fastened good, but it was a little bit wider than the cloth in this middle section. The bottom was fine. The bottom was fine because it was about 36 inches, but you just want to make sure when you're building this that these, you know, the top ones, that everything's 36 inches apart. Once you put the divider in there, it's awful hard to change it. So that's one thing. I think I may end up painting the feeder, inside of the feeder, white, just so that it's not so hard to see the quail. But you can see they figured out the feeder. Oh, they're not eating right at the moment. They were, a minute ago, they were all had their heads in it and were eating. So I really like the the feeder design. One thing I might do is take some corrugated roof like this and cut it to here and have it stick out a little bit, just to make sure that I think I got this all pretty tight. I just don't want anything to leak into the food. This cover, I'll just show you down one more time. I got a fair amount of food in there. I think I'm going to be able to get about 8 or 9 gallons in there, probably at least, of food. Over here, one thing I would do different now that it's done, I thought it was a great idea when I was doing it, was to give them this whole side, but now I can see how it could possibly be a little stuffy over here. I did leave, didn't look like I left a full 2 inches, but I did leave a gap up there. I should have left a little more up there probably. I think that's just sinking down. It was like 1.5 inches or something that I left up there. But I think it was a good idea for Chris to have it over a little ways. I don't know if I would go clear to 33 inches where he had it, but I think it should be over a little bit more, rather than having the whole side, just because having the screen at the bottom would allow a little more air movement through this side of the hutch. And there's a lot, like Carolina Coops talks a lot for chickens about the deep litter method. There's a lot of people that are extolling the virtues of the deep litter method. I don't know if quail will dig their poop into the mulch like a chicken will. So I don't know if this will work very good. Plus, I didn't get the right kind of mulch. This was just all they had at the big box store, buying it this late in the season. So I may dig this out and put sand in there and see if I can move this board over a little bit, or order a different kind of bedding, like the stuff that Carolina Coop sells. I don't know, haven't decided yet exactly. I might give it a week or so and see if the quail turn it in like a chicken will. I think it'd be fine, but I'm not sure they will. So sorry, we got a plane going over. So that's the quail hutch. I really like the design. I really think the quail, sorry for the bouncy camera, I really like the design. I really think the quail are gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be a much better life for the quail than having them in the garage. Not that I wouldn't have them in the garage, if I didn't have a way to have them outside. I still think that those other cages are great if you don't have a way to have them outside. But I just think this is going to be a better life for the quail, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited about when I raise up a new batch of babies that I can throw them in this hutch with the adults. Anyway, I just really excited about it. So I hope this video was interesting. I hope you learned a few things that when you're building it will help you. Again, go watch Slightly Redneck's video on building his hutch, because he's a lot more specific on a lot of things. And again, appreciate it. I'll talk to you in the next video.